Hi everyone, and welcome to our next homework review video for Year 4. We're looking forward to going through this video with you and going through all the tasks that you had to do for your homework. So this video is perfect for you if you want to pause it, look back at any of the questions, if you want to pause the screen, but also we can explain why the answers are correct as we go down through. So let's have a little look at the slides. So this is the first book that we're going to be looking at. This is the spelling and vocabulary workbook. So make sure, please, you've got that. And hopefully you've completed Unit 7 and Unit 8. Those are the two units that we are going to focus on. While we're going through this video, I will put up Billy the Bookworm. So it's easy for you to concentrate and watch the video through. So let's have a look at what the tasks were. So as I just mentioned, 7 and 8 is the two units from the spelling and vocabulary book. And we've also got tests 17, 18 and 19 to have a look through from your CGP book. And we'll also go through puzzle 6 as well and make sure you know the answers for that. So, shall we start then with the vocabulary book, the Bond Key Stage 2 Spelling and Vocabulary Workbook for years 9 to 10. So this is quite an advanced book, but hopefully you're finding it okay and you're enjoying the activities that are in this book. Let's have a look at the first one. So let's read what we've got to do. All of your words fit into the grid. Work out which number represents each letter to solve the puzzle. You were given 1 and you were given the R, okay, and what you might have done is possibly put in the R's to represent the 4, and that might have started you off with, for example, irregular. Irregular is a word that you might use associated with shapes, so an irregular shape are ones where sides are different in length. Now, this is very much all about opposites, so once you'd worked out irregular, that would have helped you work out that the 7 represented an I, the 10 represented an E, the 8 represented a G, the 11 was a U, the L is 25 and 26 is A, and you already knew that 4 was R. And then you can use those to fill in those particular numbers, and hopefully then it would have revealed what those words would have been. Gradually you could have worked your way through that. So hopefully you did well with that. If you want to pause the page now and just double check that you have all the letters in the right place. Okay, let's move on to the next part of Unit 7. Which of your words, so these are the words down on the left hand side, are synonyms for these words? So synonyms meaning words that of course mean the same. So we're looking at synonyms. So we've got vanish and disappear, sunrise and then dawn, sunset and then dusk, unmanageable and impossible. So well done if you managed to get all of those correct. Which of your words are antonyms for these words? So we've got west and east. They of course are opposites. Possible, impossible. Wax and wane. So wax meaning to increase, wane meaning to become weaker or decrease. North and south. Dawn and dusk. And unpopular and popular. So well done if you've done well on all of those. And what you can do just to help you can just write a little score, possibly out of 6 here, and then maybe a little score out of 4 up here as well. So well done if you did well on those. Let's move on to the next part of Unit 7. We've got another set of words down the side. Fill in the grid with all of your words. The first letter of each word has been given to help you. So you may well have started perhaps with the M here and worked out that that is going to be meeting, and that's the longest word beginning with M. There's only 2 words beginning with M anyway because you've got more and meeting, so the fact that that one was longer and contained 7 letters might have been how you started. Then perhaps you could have worked out queen, then teeth, and as you go down through it's always a good idea just to cross out those words that you have added in. So hopefully you managed to fill those in okay. You were looking very carefully hopefully at the spellings of those words as well. Now in this particular part of Unit 7, this is section E, the double vowels often change the sound of a word. So for example, 2 O's sound like 2 oohs. So smooth, spoon and loose, that obviously changes the sound. So sort your words into the categories. 3 have been done for you. So we've got smooth, spoon and loose. And then we've got, for the E sound, we've got needle, queen, sheet, steep, teeth, weekend, freezing and creepy. And then not the OO or E sound, we've got flood, more and wooden. In this particular section, change the double vowels in these words to make new words. So we've got steep becomes stoop, as in to stoop down, sheet and shoot, teeth and tooth, and needle and noodle. So again, well done if you got all of those in the right, not only in the right columns, but also you got the right words here. So again, you can put your marks out of 4 there. This was actually out of 13, so if you got all the words in the right place, you would reward yourself 13 marks. G, we have to fill in the grid with all your words. The first letter of each word has been given to you, so similar to what we had earlier. I think most of those words are known to you, hopefully. So you can fill in all of those, just double checking that your spelling is accurate. And then what you can do, as we said earlier, is actually tick off the words that you've actually used. So if you want to pause the video, just double check that you've got all those words in the right place. Carrying on with Unit 7, which of your words are antonyms? So we could look at the opposites. So easy and difficult, released and grabbed, lower and upper, shorter and taller, similar and different, loose and stiff, healthy and unwell, hill and valley. Then we've got to write the root word below. Okay, so we get taller from tall, pressure we get from press, upper and then comes from up, and then tripping, of course, comes from trip. Helpful hint here, when there are double consonants, check whether it is a double letter before the suffix, and if so, remember our spelling rule. If a word ends in a single consonant and the letter before it is a single vowel, we double the last letter before adding our suffix. Follow this rule, or make the correct spelling most of the time. It's a really useful hint there. Next part of Unit 7, we had to put these words into the different sentences. So let's just read the sentences through, make sure we've got the right word in the right place. We save money because our school offers a reduction if we use their bookshop. So reduction needs to go for question 1. The pizza was divided so we can each had an equal portion of it. We had to make a decision whether to buy a dog or a cat. So decision for number 3. Number 4, the baker's wedding cake was an amazing creation. Number 5, please don't mention the secret party next weekend. There was one rejection, but everyone else accepted our ideas. 6 plus 2 is an addition sum. 6 times 2 is a multiplication sum. 6 shared by 2 is a division sum. So all those mathematical words there, all ending with either TION or SION. We put the bird box in the best position out of rain, sun and wind. After my homework, I can watch television for an hour. Our library has a huge collection of local books. We have the hardback version of that poetry book. The pudding has the option of custard or cream. Caution stops us running across the road without looking first. The winner would be announced after the last question. So well done if you managed to get all of those correct. And as always, you can go down, give them a tick. If you did get any wrong, just put a dot and you can always then check it, see what words you should have put in that gap. These are a bit like closed passages, something you'll get very familiar with, certainly when you get into Year 5. Well done. Let's move on to next part of Unit 7. Write the following words as verbs. So these are doing words. And often the clue can be if you put the word to in front, it works most of the time, it will be a verb. So to divide, to create, to multiply, to opt, to decide, to add, to collect and to reduce. Words ending in TION and SION are often tricky. If the root word ends in a T, we use TION. If the root word ends in S or D, we use SION. This rule can sometimes be broken. Like all of our rules, that doesn't apply every single time. I'm going to move on now to Unit 8. So the first part of Unit 8 was to fill in a crossword, and here are the clues down underneath, and then you had to fill in those words. So common town bird. So once you've done it, you can cross it out. It's a pigeon. To get bigger is to increase. And then you've got 7, learning is knowledge. An under layer of clothes is underwear. Now, it may be that you didn't do this in this particular order. You might have started perhaps with the down clues, or you might have just done the ones where you'd already created letters to help you work out the next word. So, for example, once you'd worked out pumpkin and it gave you the K, you could then potentially work out knowledge. So it is about using the letters that you're given. 10 across, a ball game, is netball. High up playhouse, 11 across, is treehouse. Game with an oval ball, which is 12 across, is rugby. 1 of 3 is triplet. And then 5, plants under trees, for 15 across is undergrowth. 10, scary fruit, is the pumpkin. 2, to take care. So this is 2 down, and that is carefully. Covering for walls is wallpaper. That's 3 down over here. 5, assume, suppose. 6 down. See if I can find 6 down. Often. That's frequent. To know what to do. That's 8 down. And that's understand. And then 13 down. To be on is upon. So well done if you managed to get all those clues. Crosswords are quite good fun, but certainly really good for your vocabulary. Let's go and have a look at the next part of Unit 8. What we had to do here is divide any 5 of your words into 2 separate words. So we're looking at the examples in, and then we've got crease becomes increase. And I've chosen, you could have chosen any of these, but I've gone with trip and let for triplet, up and on for upon, care and fully, carefully, often, of and 10, and then net and ball for netball. But again, you may have had other options and other possibilities for that. Carrying on with Unit 8, another one of those grids where you have to use the letters to give you a clue. Certainly giving you 22 for K would have certainly helped. Possibly for knitting, because that begins with a K. And then skull contains a K. Just looking down to see if there's any others that contain Ks. I don't think there are, so it would be a case of using those 2, and then that would hopefully help you work out the rest of the grid. So again, if you want to pause your video here, that would be a really good idea, and then you can look and check that you've got everything worked out. Right, we're looking at putting words into word groups here, but based upon their spellings. And the first one's been done for you. So for a double S, we've got brass, and then we've got chess, glass, and guess. Double L, retail, shrill, skull, stallion, which is a male horse. Telling, okay, has a double L as well. And then double F was giraffe. Double E was cheese. Double R, corridor, and sparrow. Double T, knitting and lettuce. And then double B was rabbit. Which of your words fit in the definitions? Small garden bird, of course, is a sparrow. And then we've got a board game, which is chess. And then making things with needles and wool is knitting. So that was out of 3. And I think this one above looks like it was out of 15. So again, put your score down according to what you've done. Okay, let's have a look at the next section if you've marked that. Still part of Unit 8. Now, interestingly with these, you've got to find all these different sports. Lots of you will play these different sports, or you've heard of them, I'm sure. And once you've found them in the word search, you should be left with games and sport vocabulary. So game and sport vocabulary. So that's what you're left with. So all the highlighted letters you can see there. So what you can do is write that out over here. So if I do that quickly for you. So you've got games and I think it's just sport, not sport. Games and sport vocabulary. So those are the letters that you're left with once you have found all of those different sports. So well done if you managed to do that correctly. Let's move on now to the next part, and you had to arrange those sports into 2 categories. The ones that required a ball and the ones that required no ball. This is often really useful, particularly when you do question types like odd one out. And they may, for example, give you baseball, basketball, cricket, and then judo. And you would select judo because it's not a ball you don't use a ball to actually do that sport. Or it might be the other way around, where you had something like jumping, riding, running and hockey. Well, hockey's the only one that does use a ball. So really useful to do this. So baseball, basketball, cricket, golf, hockey, rounders, snooker, squash and tennis require a ball, whereas judo, jumping, riding, running, swimming, athletics and badminton, because badminton uses a shuttlecock rather than a ball, those would be the no ball games. So hopefully you did okay there, got them all in the right categories. Sometimes putting things into tables can be quite useful just to organise the information. Let's have a look at the next part. This is section H. Now for this one you had to look at the fact that a lot of the letters were very much muddled up. So an anagram is a word that can make another word if you arrange the letters. All the words in your list can be made out of the letters A, C, L, M, P, S and U. Find all of your words in the pyramid. You can move vertically, horizontally and diagonally and forwards and backwards. I've done that on a few of them. Some of you may have liked to have done it a bit more randomly, but making sure the letters are in the right orders. But I've done most of mine going horizontally. But there's a couple here where I've gone diagonally with camp and also with cap as well, but that's up to you as long as you found them all, as long as you're looking at the spellings as well. So again, pause the video if you need to check those. Then you need to find another 10 words, so not including the ones that are down in this list down here, that you can make from those letters. And sometimes putting them in a circle can obviously help. So if you did want to just write them out in a circle, it might help you see those letters in a slightly different order, but it's often quite a good little strategy. Sorry, mine's not very circular, but certainly just writing them out like that, and then you can look at the letter orders. So we've got am, as, clump, clumps, cup, cups, cusp, to be on the cusp, map, seam, and then spam. Spam like emails that you get through that are unwanted, that get sent to many people, and that's like a spam email. And then we've got a little tip that we've just shared with you, putting them into a circle. And what 3 words do we make from here? We get pleats, staple and pastel. Right, well done. I hope you've done well in your spelling and vocabulary book this week. We're now going to move on to your CGP book, and we're going to have a look at, first of all, test 17. And with test 17, you've got a closed passage, first of all, about the Galapagos Islands in the Pacific Ocean, and I've filled in all of the words here. So we've got group, famous, strange, that, biggest, incredibly, years, nicknamed, animal, visited, fascinated and about. So give yourself a mark out of 12 if you got all of those. All about reading beyond the sentence to help you with that, but very interesting passage there about the giant tortoises in the Galapagos Islands. Right, let's carry on with test 17 and have a look at the odd ones out. So question 13 is burn, because all the others are ways of cooking. 14 is county, because all the others are types of settlement. 15, we've got church, chapel, cathedral and abbey. And Bible is the other one out, because all the others, of course, are places of worship. 16 is pitch. And the reason it's pitch is because the other types of portable accommodation. So a camper van, a caravan, a tent and a motorhome. And then 17, hope you got railway, because all the others are types of road. An avenue, a street, a boulevard and a lane. Now we're looking at synonyms. So we're looking for words that mean the same. So we've got scowl and frown, trek and hike, employ and hire, important and significant, specific and particular. So again, really good vocabulary exercises there. If any of those words you didn't know or they were new words to you, then grab your word and meaning book and put them in your word and meaning book so you don't forget them and you can retain them. But certainly putting them into context, think about how you would use those words will help you memorize them. Let's move on to the last part of this test, test 17, and we're looking for words on the left that are related in some way. So the first one is going to be lizard, because all the others are types of reptile. So we wouldn't go with frog because that's an amphibian. Not reptile, that's the group, so it's a generic word, so we draw that one out. Not bite and not scale. And then 24, we've got tyre, because they are all parts of the car. So the bonnet, the boot, the engine and the accelerator. Then we've got 25 is dawdle, because if you linger, loiter, delay or lag, you take a long time when you're walking. So you kind of move slowly. 26, we've got pen, because all words are types of stationery. And it is important, and I always mention this with stationery, you make sure that it's got an E, not an A. Stationary with an A would be to stand still. And I always remember the word envelope, and that reminds me that stationary with an E is going to have an E in it rather than an A. Well done if you got 26 there. And again, you can put it in your progress grid at the back. Let's go and have a look at the cryptids. So cryptids, this is an interesting passage. So hopefully you've read it down through, found out all about cryptids. And then we can answer the questions about it as well. So let's have a little look at the questions. So move down through the questions. What I've done is I've circled the right ones. Okay, and hopefully by going back to the passage, this is where I've highlighted all the evidence, where I've found all the answers. So hopefully you can be doing that and checking against what you've got. The okapi. I don't know if any of you have learnt about the okapi before. So why do you think people originally thought the okapi was a new type of zebra? Well, it had black and white stripes on its hind legs like a zebra. So if we go back to line 11, here we are. It says, many people weren't sure whether the animal was real and called the animal an African unicorn. It's here. With black and white stripes on its back legs. There we are. So they thought that it was a type of zebra. So give that one a tick if you got that one right. Which of the following statements about Sir Harry Johnson is true? He was inspired to search for the okapi by Sir Henry Morton Stanley. And there again is evidence within the text that Sir Harry Johnson became fascinated with Stanley's stories of his secretive creature. In which year did the scientists in London wrongly announce the discovery of a new kind of zebra? Well, if you have a little look here, in 1890 it was reported, but it wasn't until 11 years later, and I've highlighted the 11 years here, 11 years after, so we've got 1890. If we add on another 11 years, then we know what we're going to get. We're going to get 1901. So we come back to our questions. There we are. We've got 1901. So you had to do a bit of maths there, find those two dates. So in which year did the scientists in London wrongly announce the discovery of a new kind of zebra? It was in 1901. Why did people call the okapi an African unicorn? Well, the okapi was called an African unicorn on line 12. And why was it wrongly given that name? Many people weren't sure whether the animal was real and called the animal an African unicorn. So let's come back. They thought it was a cryptid like a unicorn. There we go. Question 5. Why do you think we know so little about giant squid? They live in depths of the ocean, so are rarely seen. And then according to the text, which of the following best describes I think you pronounce that as criken, but let's just double check. I often use pronunciations here just to help us.
Kraken.
Okay, there we go. So kraken, which best describes the kraken, a large creature that looks like a squid. And if we come back to the text, a giant squid-like creature capable of destroying ships. Kraken. Okay, and then which of the following is an example of a cryptid? Well, it's actually a yeti, and that actually says that in line 2. So like the Loch Ness Monster or the yeti. So hopefully you've done well on those. Let's move on to the next questions and see what we had to do. And on these ones, again, we're looking for the odd ones out. So we've got seasons, because all the others are, of course, names of the seasons. Then we've got darts. The other 4 are types of racket sport: badminton, tennis, squash and ping pong. And then 10, the other 4 are types of string instruments. So we've got harp, violin, guitar and cello. 11, we've got wolf, because all the others are types of big cat: jaguar, lion, tiger and cheetah. So we've got a lot of them there. You could have had lynx as well. 12 is the odd one out, is positive, because the others mean telling the truth. And 13, it's soup, because other 4 are types of cold drink. 14, what have we got to do here? We're looking at synonyms again. So again, trying to build up your vocabulary. So an apartment is a flat. Both words mean a living space. on one floor of a building. 15 is string, because thread and string are thin fibres. Awkward and graceless, because the others mean clumsy. Sorry, the other awkward and graceless mean clumsy, but crude, trip and graceful aren't going to work there for synonyms. Then we've got clutter and mess, because they both mean an untidy collection of things. And then we've got blossom and bloom, to produce flowers. Rage and fury, extreme anger. And then desire and crave, if you really want something. So as I said earlier, if there's any words in there that you didn't know, you do need to know the meanings of them, then put them in your word and meaning book or look them up. Even finding a picture of them as well can sometimes help you learn it. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So this is the last test. This is test 19, and you did have a passage here again which you had to fill in, all about the Great Fire of London. So again, hopefully you've managed to fill in all of those different words. So we just read this one through. 1 year after the Great Plague of 1665, another disaster struck London. A small accidental fire in a bakery on Pudding Lane began the Great Fire of London. At that time, buildings in London were mostly made from wood and were tightly packed together. This allowed the fire to spread incredibly quickly. There was no organised fire brigade and people were unsure how best to stop the fire. St Paul's Cathedral was one of the buildings destroyed by the fire. According to the official figures, only 6 people died, though many believe that the death toll must have been much higher. Sir Christopher Wren was given the task of rebuilding the cathedral, as well as 51 other churches across the city. So again, out of 12, put down how many you managed to get right there. Certainly reading beyond the gap is really important. Now, these ones are reshuffled sentences, so let's just have a little look down through and see how we create those reshuffled sentences. So the first one is request is the word that you didn't require, and he asked me for free sandwiches. He, as a pronoun, he asked me for free sandwiches. So that leaves you with request. And the next one, we've got another pronoun to start. So I have what? I have to look after the children. So care is the word we didn't need there. 15, I am seeing a play tonight. I am seeing a play tonight. So theatre was the word that we didn't need. 16, now we've got a proper noun, so we can start with Sean. Sean is a nurse at the hospital. And then 17, we've got, we sat around the fire all night. We sat around the fire all night. So dark was the word that we didn't need. I'm sure you're getting really good at reshuffled sentences now. We've done quite a few of these over this block, so well done if you're managing to get most of those correct. Let's have a look now at the next little task, and these are synonyms. So you were given some of the letters, but you had to fill them in. So both words mean quick, speedy and prompt. Horrid and foul, unpleasant. Acquire and obtain mean to get. Zone and area mean a defined space. And then a cab and a taxi are both words that mean a car that carries passengers in return for money. So well done if you got 5 out of 5 there. And the last little section. And then you can record down in your progress grid out of 26. So we've got opposites, sorrow and glee. Glee meaning to be happy. Good-tempered and or grumpy and good-tempered, so they're opposites. Obedient and rebellious. Probable and unlikely. So, hope you've done well in your homework this week. The last thing, which was a little bit of fun, was to try and do a puzzle, friend or foe. And what I've done is I've just put in, you need to use the code. And just to show you on the code, we've got the word clue, and then we've got A, J, S, C. And if we take 2 letters away from C, we get A. 2 letters from L, we get J. 2 from U, we get S. And 2 from E, we get C. And that's what you need to apply to work out your different anagrams that you've got here and your different clues to work out your synonyms as well. And I've also had to number them whether they're friendly or whether they're hostile. So appeal, flair and success, 5, 6 and 1. Hostile meaning unfriendly, wrath, power and intensity for 2, 4 and 3. So again, if you do want to pause it, hope you had a bit of fun with that one. That one seemed quite fun. Guys, thank you very much for watching this review video. Hope it's helped to mark your homework. Hope you've done well, and I hope to look forward to seeing you in your next live lesson. Thanks very much. Bye.